Welcome to Storytime with Tim, sharing my stories of long ago, back on the old porch, bloodhounds and all my relatives telling stories about fishing and all kinds of stuff. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, leave comments, hit the notification bell if you like. Give me a like, hit the old hand thing, and let your friends and family, and your doggies too, know about Storytime with Tim on my YouTube. Below the video, you'll see a thing that says more. Click on that, opens up the description of the video. It has my merch store that's brand new, Amazon store that I have, my disclaimer, and some other things in there. So click on the link for my merch store, help support the channel, and let your friends know about it too. So let's get going on Story Time with Tim. Hey, today's story is about going down to the Greenlake Aqua Theater north of Seattle to see Led Zeppelin, and with them was Three Dog Night. Kind of an odd combination. It was around 1971, maybe later. I don't know. It's documented, so it's you can look it up on the internet. But it was Led Zeppelin playing at the Greenlake Aqua Theater with Three Dog Night. They were the backup band. I don't know if they listed Three Dog Night in the on the internet on that concert or not. It was kind of they were scheduled to come to Seattle anyway, but they changed it to the Greenlake Aqua Theater out of the blue. So I was down there after high school. I went down to Greenlake to run around the Greenlake to stay in shape and all that, and running wasn't my thing. I didn't really like it, so I ended up getting a 10-speed bike and doing that. It was a lot easier, less painful for me anyway. My knees never were that great. So anyway, I was riding around the Greenlake, and a friend of mine I ran into. We were just kind of hanging out in north end of Greenlake, and there was people playing volleyball and frisbee, and so we were just kind of hanging out in that group and having fun. And Ron had a radio with him, and so we started listening to the radio, sitting back by a tree or wherever, having a pop or whatever, and then they came on the radio and said that the Led Zeppelin concert that was scheduled to be down at the Eagles Auditorium downtown Seattle, which is just north of the Paramount Theater, if you're not familiar with Seattle that much, but maybe have come to Seattle and went to the Paramount for a concert. Well, the Eagles Auditorium was just north of there. But the building was really kind of sucked. They had concerts there for a few years, but people complained so much they quit having it there, or they sold the building and whatever, tore it down. But it was just a real bad building for having concerts because you couldn't sit down. It was all just stand up. I had a big stage and all that, but you could only stand up in it, and on the sides, it had pillars, and so if you're standing up in a big crowd and stuck behind that pillar, you couldn't see, much of the stage. So that kind of, so you're looking around trying to see what was going on. So they decided to move it from that venue to the Greenlake Aqua Theater. So they announced it on the radio that the Led Zeppelin concert has been moved from the Eagles Auditorium to Greenlake Aqua Theater. And I knew it was, and so did Ron. So we decided, well, shoot, we don't have tickets, and we're not going to go buy tickets. We didn't have money. So we decided to just go up there by where the Greenlake Aqua Theater was and just hang out, So we did, and we got in a spot where we could standing by the cyclone fence, we had a really good view of the stage and the pool for the Aqua Theater. The Aqua Theater was actually a high dive competition area, is what it was. It had seating, bench, stadiums type seating, like at a football game, but it was curved like an amphitheater, which it was. It's basically an amphitheater. And then they had the big Olympic-sized pool, and then they had the different levels of jumps for diving into the pool. And then they had this big stage, which was perfect for bands. It's just great. And the acoustics in there bouncing off that water in the pool sounded just awesome. So we stood by the fence and waited. I mean, we got there probably around 2, and the band started showing up around 4:30 or so, 4 o'clock. And it was in the summer, so it stayed, light later. So we were standing there, and the first black limousines show up, and there are tinted windows. You couldn't see who was inside. And out comes Three Dog Night. And it was like, holy smokes, we at the right concert? We didn't know Three Dog Night was going to be playing with Led Zeppelin. And I don't even know if we knew Led Zeppelin was going to be playing. We just heard it on the radio. So anyway, so Three Dog Night gets out, and they look like they're 7 feet tall. They had the big poofy hair and the stacked boots, and dressed in like black tuxedos and white frilly shirts and cuffs and all that. And it's like, wow, this is going to be interesting, because it kind of like back then, I considered them like a teeny bop type group, They were good and all that, but it wasn't my kind of music at all. And then picturing them playing, and then Led Zeppelin right after that, it was like, wow, 2 different types of music totally, So anyway, they played, and they were really good, They Jeremiah was a bullfrog and all that stuff, And but the vocals were just unbelievable, and their music, of course, was really good too. So we were pretty pleased, We went, wow, that was really good. And so, next comes the next limousines coming up, all tinted out. We went, wow, God, it's got to be Led Zeppelin in that, So sure enough, out comes Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, John Bonham, and John Paul Jones, that played bass for the group. So they get out, and they get on stage, and started playing, and it was just so cool. And it sounded really, really good off that, in that amphitheater. That's probably why they wanted to play there. They might have played there before, I don't know. So anyway, they were playing, and Jimmy Page doing his solos, which are just unbelievable. The bow on his guitar on that one song. And then John Bonham, playing his drum solo, and then he went to his hands he was as fast with his hands as he was the drumsticks. I mean, the guy was amazing. They all were, John Paul Jones on the bass. Man, that guy, I wish I could even think of playing bass as good as that guy. But, and then, Robert Plant's singing was unbelievable. So at one point, Robert Plant wasn't singing right then, because there was a drum solo or a guitar solo or whatever. He was just kind of standing there playing tambourine. So this girl in the audience, she jumped in the pool and started swimming around. And so just her. It wasn't anybody else. I think everybody else was too scared to do it, but she was swimming around, and then so Robert Plant, he dove in the water too and was swimming around with her. And so the song was getting on to where he needed to get back up on stage, so he did, and he grabbed that microphone. I'm going, oh man, I hope he doesn't get shocked, which happened to me a couple times, but apparently they had their equipment grounded really well, because it wasn't any problem. Anyway, so they get done, and the crowd was just going nuts. It was fantastic. Beautiful sunny day, perfect day for a concert like that. And a lot of memories. Ron and I started telling people about what we saw that day, and they went, "What?" I said, "Yeah, we saw Led Zeppelin at the Greenlake Aqua Theater." And they went, "Yeah, right." They didn't believe us. Eventually they found out, because it made the news and everything. But yeah, it was really cool. So hey, if you like the story, please subscribe, leave comments, give me a thumbs up, and hit that ding-a-ling bell notification on my next videos coming out. So stay tuned. See you later.